Welcome to Reykjavik, the northernmost capital in the world and the vibrant heart of Iceland. A city where ancient Viking legends blend with cutting-edge modern design, Reykjavik is more than a destination. It's a living story shaped by natural forces and historic resilience. In this travel story, we uncover Reykjavik's dramatic history, from its volcanic origins to the challenges that molded it into the charming culture-rich capital it is today. If you're seeking history, heartache, and transformation in one breathtaking location, this is the journey for you. The fiery beginning, Reykjavik's origins. Reykjavik's story begins around 870 AD, when Norseman Ingólfur Arnarson, considered Iceland's first permanent settler, arrived on its rugged shores. Legend tells us that Ingólfur threw his high seat pillars overboard and vowed to settle wherever they landed. He found them on a smoky bay, Reykjavik meaning smoky bay in Old Norse due to the steam rising from nearby hot springs. What started as a modest Norse settlement eventually grew into a cornerstone of Icelandic civilization. For centuries, Reykjavik remained a small, isolated farming and fishing community. The landscape, carved by glaciers, shaped by volcanic eruptions, and battered by North Atlantic storms, forced early settlers to develop resilience. There was no central governance, no cities, and no easy life. But the Icelandic spirit, grounded in independence and adaptability, took root here. Centuries of isolation and struggle. Iceland fell under Norwegian rule in 1262, then passed to Danish control in 1380, leaving Reykjavik and the entire island largely neglected by the outside world. Poverty and famine were frequent. In the 15th and 16th centuries, plague outbreaks and harsh winters ravaged the population, and Reykjavik barely developed as a city. One of the darkest periods came during the 1700s, when a devastating smallpox epidemic wiped out nearly a third of Iceland's population. Adding to this tragedy was the Laki volcanic eruption in 1783, one of the deadliest in human history. Poisonous gases and ash clouds from the eruption led to crop failures and livestock deaths across the island. A massive famine followed, killing thousands. Though Reykjavik was still a small town at the time, these events were deeply felt. The Laki eruption poisoned rivers and soil near the capital region. Starvation and disease forced communities to consolidate, and Reykjavik's role as a central hub slowly began to form out of necessity. Reykjavik's first steps toward urbanization. The seeds of modernization were planted in 1786, when Reykjavik was officially granted municipal status by the Danish crown. That same year, it had a population of only around 300 people. The government hoped Reykjavik would become a trading hub and center of Danish administration in Iceland. Schools, churches, and trade offices were slowly introduced. In 1701, the Icelandic bishopric moved to Reykjavik, making it the religious center of the country. A decade later, the National Library was established, laying the intellectual foundation for future independence movements. Despite these early developments, Reykjavik remained a tiny, windswept village for much of the 19th century. The fishing industry became increasingly important, but the real turning point came in the 20th century. Transformation and tragedy. The early 1900s were a time of upheaval and transformation. Iceland declared sovereignty from Denmark in 1918, and Reykjavik became the capital of the new Kingdom of Iceland. However, the country's economy was still fragile, and many Icelanders emigrated to North America. World War II drastically changed the trajectory of Reykjavik's development. Though Iceland was officially neutral, British forces occupied Reykjavik in 1940, followed by the Americans in 1941. The Allies feared a Nazi takeover of Iceland due to its strategic North Atlantic position. The occupation brought profound and sudden change. Thousands of foreign troops flooded into Reykjavik, dramatically increasing its population and creating jobs in infrastructure, construction, and services. Roads, airstrips, and even hospitals were built. Though controversial at the time, the occupation effectively launched Reykjavik into modernity. But not without pain. Social unrest grew as local customs clashed with the sudden influx of foreign culture. The term "ástandið," the situation, emerged, describing the tensions caused by relationships between Icelandic women and Allied soldiers. These cultural rifts, although now part of history, left lasting scars on Reykjavik society. Independence and the rise of a capital. In 1944, while Denmark was still under Nazi occupation, Iceland declared itself a fully independent republic, and Reykjavik became the official capital. This marked a new era of growth, optimism, and self-determination. The city expanded rapidly, and a national identity centered around Reykjavik began to emerge. But Iceland's fragile economy remained vulnerable to global forces. A series of economic crashes, particularly the Cod Wars with the UK in the 1950s and 1970s, and the financial collapse of 2008, shook Reykjavik to its core. The 2008 collapse was particularly devastating, as Reykjavik had become the financial heart of Iceland. Banks failed, unemployment soared, and citizens filled the streets in protest. The city experienced months of unrest and uncertainty. Yet once again, Reykjavik rebuilt, driven by innovation, tourism, and the enduring Icelandic spirit. Culture rooted in tradition and innovation. Reykjavik is more than just Iceland's political capital. It is its cultural soul. Despite being a relatively young city by European standards, Reykjavik boasts a vibrant and progressive culture rooted deeply in Icelandic tradition. The people of Reykjavik, about 140,000 of Iceland's roughly 390,000 citizens, are known for their independence, resilience, and creativity. A common Icelandic saying, "Þetta reddest," meaning "it will all work out," reflects the national attitude: optimistic, flexible, and fiercely self-reliant. Literature holds a sacred place in the culture. Reykjavik was designated a UNESCO City of Literature in 2011, and storytelling, dating back to the Icelandic sagas, is still very much alive today. Music, too, plays a huge role. From internationally known artists like Björk and Sigur Rós to underground punk scenes and classical concerts at Harpa Concert Hall, the city pulses with sound. Visual arts, film, and design flourish here as well. Reykjavik is often considered a hub for Nordic minimalism, sustainable fashion, and contemporary sculpture. But despite its modern flair, traditions are preserved through annual events like Thorrablot, a midwinter festival where locals honor their Viking heritage with food, drink, and folklore. A diverse and evolving population. Reykjavik's population is largely Icelandic, but it's also becoming more diverse. In recent years, a growing number of immigrants, mostly from Poland, Lithuania, the Philippines, and parts of Africa and Asia, have made Reykjavik their home. Drawn by employment opportunities and the city's high quality of life, these communities have added new cultural layers to an already evolving urban identity. Reykjavik residents tend to be highly educated, environmentally conscious, and globally aware. Many speak English fluently, alongside Icelandic, and there's a strong emphasis on gender equality, LGBTQ+ rights, and green living. Reykjavik consistently ranks among the safest and cleanest cities in the world. Government and governance. Reykjavik is governed by a municipal council, led by the mayor of Reykjavik. While the city handles local matters such as public services, education, and urban planning, it also hosts the national government, including Alþingi, the world's oldest surviving parliament, which meets at the Parliament House in the heart of Reykjavik. The President of Iceland resides just outside the capital in Bessastaðir, but Reykjavik is home to key ministries and government offices that shape the country's policy and diplomacy. The city also serves as the center for Iceland's legal and judicial systems. How people get around. Transportation in Reykjavik. Reykjavik is known for its compact size and walkability. Most residents get around by car, as public transportation infrastructure is still developing. Strætó, the city's yellow bus service, connects Reykjavik to surrounding suburbs and towns but doesn't run 24/7. Plans are underway to improve sustainable mobility, including bike paths and pedestrian zones. Interestingly, Reykjavik has no railway system or subway, and while traffic is mild compared to larger cities, the government has been investing in future-forward transport solutions, including electric buses and carpooling initiatives. For international travel, the Keflavík International Airport, about 45 minutes from the capital, serves as the country's main gateway, while Reykjavik Domestic Airport handles regional flights. The economy, from fishing to finance and tech, Reykjavik is the engine of Iceland's economy. Traditionally based on fishing and seafood exports, the economy has diversified over the past few decades. Reykjavik is now a hub for tourism, finance, creative industries, software development, and geothermal energy. Tourism boomed following the 2008 financial crisis, and Reykjavik became a magnet for visitors seeking hot springs, the northern lights, and cultural experiences. However, this boom also caused challenges: rising housing prices, gentrification, and seasonal job instability. Still, the city continues to thrive by balancing its natural resources, creative innovation, and international partnerships. Reykjavik's emphasis on renewable energy, particularly geothermal and hydroelectric, also places it at the forefront of sustainability worldwide. Must-try dishes in Reykjavik. Icelandic cuisine is built on survival, sustainability, and creative use of local resources. In Reykjavik, you'll find everything from traditional Viking fare to modern culinary fusion. Here are a few iconic dishes to try. Plokkfiskur, a comforting fish stew made from boiled cod or haddock mixed with potatoes, onions, butter, and milk. It's a classic home-style dish that showcases the city's fishing roots. Skyr, technically a cheese but often eaten like yogurt, skyr is thick, creamy, and high in protein. Reykjavik cafes serve it plain or with berries and honey, perfect for breakfast or a light snack. Hangikjöt, smoked lamb, traditionally served during holidays, especially around Christmas. The rich, smoky flavor comes from being hung and smoked over dried sheep dung, a process still used by some artisans today. More adventurous eaters can sample hakarl, fermented shark, or svied, sheep's head, but these are often more for cultural experience than taste appeal. The language spoken in Reykjavik. The official language of Reykjavik and all of Iceland is Icelandic, a North Germanic language that has changed very little since the Viking Age. Locals take great pride in preserving the language, even inventing new Icelandic words rather than adopting foreign terms. Despite its complexity, nearly all Reykjavik residents speak fluent English, making it a tourist-friendly city. In schools, Danish is taught as a second language due to historical ties, and other European languages like German, French, and Spanish are becoming more common. Year-round weather, living with the elements. Reykjavik experiences a subpolar oceanic climate with cool summers and cold, but not extreme winters. The average temperature in July, the warmest month, hovers around 10 to 13 degrees Celsius, 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, while January averages about -1 to 1 degree Celsius, 30 to 34 degrees Fahrenheit. Rain, snow, and wind are regular features of Reykjavik life. Daylight varies wildly throughout the year, from nearly 24 hours of sun in midsummer to just 4 hours of daylight in midwinter. These extremes shape the lifestyle, festivals, and even mental health practices of the people. Fun facts about Reykjavik you might not know. World's northernmost capital, Reykjavik holds the title of the northernmost capital city on Earth, just a touch below the Arctic Circle. Despite this, the Gulf Stream keeps it milder than you might expect. No McDonald's. Reykjavik hasn't had a McDonald's since 2009. The last franchise closed during Iceland's financial crisis, and no one has reopened one since, making it one of the few Western capitals without one. Names, not surnames. Icelanders don't use family surnames like most of the world. Instead, they use patronymics or matronymics. So John's son becomes Jonsson, and his daughter becomes Jóndatir. Geothermal showers. Most of Reykjavik's hot water comes from geothermal springs, meaning your morning shower was likely heated by volcanic energy. No army. Iceland has no standing military, making it one of the most peaceful nations in the world. Reykjavik hosts the Icelandic Coast Guard and relies on international alliances for defense. Must-see attractions in Reykjavik. Hallgrímskirkja. This towering Lutheran church is Reykjavik's most iconic landmark. Inspired by Icelandic basalt columns, its observation tower offers panoramic city views. Harpa Concert Hall, a striking glass building on the harbor. Harpa is not only a venue for music and events, but a masterpiece of modern Nordic architecture. Sun Voyager Solfar. This gleaming steel sculpture on the waterfront symbolizes hope, discovery, and the Viking spirit. A perfect spot for sunset photos. Perlan Museum. Built on top of hot water tanks, this futuristic dome features a glacier exhibit, planetarium, and a rotating glass cafe with sweeping city views. National Museum of Iceland. Dive into 1,200 years of Icelandic history, from the first settlers to modern Reykjavik life. Bonus experiences you shouldn't miss. Swim in a geothermal pool. Every neighborhood in Reykjavik has at least one public geothermal swimming pool. Try Laugardalslaug, the city's largest, with hot tubs, steam rooms, and water slides. Explore street art. Reykjavik's buildings are alive with colorful murals. A self-guided walking tour through downtown offers a free art gallery at every turn. Take a day trip. Reykjavik is the perfect base for exploring Iceland's natural wonders. The Golden Circle, Blue Lagoon, Northern Lights, and volcanic landscapes are just a short drive away. Try a hot dog at Bæjarins Bestu Pilsur. Bill Clinton made this humble stand world famous. Icelandic hot dogs are made mostly from lamb and served with crispy onions and remoulade. Don't miss it. Local sayings and quirky culture. Theta Reddest, the national motto, it will all work out. Elsku Vinur, a sweet term meaning dear friend. Icelanders believe strongly in elves and hidden people. Some roads have even been rerouted to avoid disturbing elf habitats. Celebrity moments in Reykjavik. Björk, Iceland's most famous musician, lives in Reykjavik and has helped shape its unique art scene. Game of Thrones cast members stayed in Reykjavik during filming in Iceland's dramatic landscapes. Ben Stiller and Will Ferrell both filmed parts of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty and Eurovision Song Contest, The Story of Fire Saga in and around the city. Before you go, Reykjavik is a city where fire and ice collide, where Viking traditions meet modern minimalism, and where every street corner holds a story. Whether you're walking along the harbor, tasting skyr for breakfast, or soaking in a hot spring under the northern lights, this city will leave an imprint on your heart. So if Reykjavik has sparked your curiosity and wanderlust, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my travel channel for more exciting adventures from around the world. There's so much more to explore, and I can't wait to take you with me on the next journey. What city should we visit next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below.